What's happening, news nerds? Back for some more news, are we, you cheeky little devils? This week in news starts now! Sounds like it's creepy burglar season. According to the BBC, a woman discovered her house had been broken into by a burglar who then hung out her washing, put her shopping away, and cooked a meal on her stove. Damien Wojnilowicz was jailed for 22 months for carrying out the creepy burglary on the 16th of July. He then left the woman whose house it was a note saying, "Don't worry, be happy, eat up and scratch." Scratch what? Your arse? Her bins had also been emptied, flower pots moved around, bird feeders filled, and even a pair of shoes unpacked and the packaging put in the recycling bin. This lad's just cosplaying The Sims. He also changed the toothbrush heads on her electric toothbrush and drank a bottle of her wine. It left the woman too scared to live in her house, which is fair. And in a personal statement, the victim wrote, "2 weeks after the crime until he was caught, I was living in a heightened anxiety I never experienced before. I wondered if it was somebody who knew me, if it was going to turn into a stalking incident. I was too scared to stay in my own home and stayed with a friend." But he was eventually caught when he used another homeowner's summer house to wash his clothes and hang out in his hot tub. According to his lawyer, Wojnilowicz was homeless at the time and undergoing a number of difficulties. She said he was apologetic to the victims and for the harm that he had caused them, and Wojnilowicz then pleaded guilty to 2 counts of burglary. The thought of someone coming in, doing the dishes, tidying up, and putting the shopping away sounds fun on first view, but then the thought of someone I didn't know handling my cucumber weirds me out. It's why I can't go dogging again. Why would you even tell people? According to the Daily Mail, the poltergeist house in Simi Valley, California has officially sold for $1.28 million and will become an Airbnb that the new owners will remodel to match the sets used in the classic horror film. The house was officially put on the market in August 2024. This is for the first time since 1979. And according to TMZ, it recently sold for $100,000 over its asking price, and the investor who bought it plans to turn it into what sounds like a wet dream for those who would actually pay to be scared. Why would you want to stay in a house associated in any way with horror, ghosts, or things that go bump in the night? My heart already goes through the roof if the wind blows the letterbox open. I'd need a flagon of horse tranquilizer for me to sleep within 6 miles of the place. To be fair, history was made on that spot. According to The Guardian, a fake blue plaque has been erected outside of a Tesco in Walthamstow to commemorate the purchase of the lettuce that famously outlasted Liz Truss's premiership. Useless Liz Truss came to power after Boris Johnson got outed as Conservative Party leader. She only lasted a pathetic 49 days in power. What brought things to a head for her was a mini-budget so awful she ended up sacking the Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng. The Daily Star, then smelling blood in the water, set up a webcam of a 60p iceberg lettuce in a wig to see which would last the longest. And after 7 days, Liz was ousted and the lettuce was still going strong. The new plaque is also conveniently placed next to an advertisement of Tesco cheese, proudly proclaiming that its cheddars have 100% British milk. This is after Truss famously declared at a Conservative Party conference in 2014 that it was a disgrace that the UK imported 2/3 of its cheese. I think if the only consequence of being outlasted by a lettuce and sending the economy into the toilet is a blue plaque outside of a Tesco, I think she's got off lightly. I'd have much preferred a couple of weeks in the stocks for yon Truss. Either that or to be the guest host of Have I Got News For You. I still remember Angus Deaton's last episode. I thought we were over the whole making things smaller craze. My phone's massive. According to CNN, Japanese toy maker Mega House has unveiled a miniature Rubik's Cube which is so tiny you might need a pair of tweezers to solve it. Each face of the aluminium cube measures just 5 by 5 millimeters. The entire cube only weighs 0.3 of a gram and is approximately 1/1000th the size of a proper Rubik's Cube. Guinness World Records have officially recognised it as the world's smallest rotating puzzle cube, and buyers of it will receive a stamp declaring it the world's smallest Rubik's Cube. It is not cheap though. You ready? 777,777 yen, which is just shy of £4,000. £4,000 for a miniature cube that you'll definitely drop if you try and operate. And when you do drop it, you'll never see it again until you move house. It's the price of a Range Rover Sport on Auto Trader, which, to be fair, you're just as likely to lose. Do what you want though, it's your cash. But if I ever have £4,000 knocking about and start eyeing up tiny cubes for ornaments, you'll all know that my brain has been inhabited by aliens. It takes a special sort of person to be a traffic warden. According to The Guardian, filming for a new movie starring Daniel Day-Lewis was interrupted when traffic wardens in Chester began putting parking tickets on 1980s vehicles being used in the backdrop of a scene. Daniel Day-Lewis has come out of retirement to star in a film directed by his son, Ronan Day-Lewis, and will star Sean Bean and Samantha Morton. Filming has started in Hanbridge in Chester, but by the sounds of it, the council denied the film's application to close the road. So the vultures came out and popped yellow tickets on all the prop cars. Legends. A spokesperson for the council said, "The council has decided to refuse a full road closure application as it was assessed as being too disruptive for residents, who could have been cut off because of roadworks nearby. And the film company hadn't applied to suspend parking restrictions in that area. So wardens were sent to ticket the cars in the same way that they would for any vehicle." And in another statement from the council, the gist was, "We like filming, but on this occasion we don't." So he's back, is he, old Daniel Day-Lewis? I was once an extra in one of his films. I got an absolutely atrocious haircut from the casting company, did a day's training on how to do what they wanted, and then another super long day actually filming. And I was cut out the film. I'm not bitter. Now this is my kind of dogging. According to the BBC, more than 1,000 dachshunds gathered at a beach for an annual walk with their owners. The Southwold Sausage Walk saw dogs from all over the UK and even as far-flung as Florida meet on Southwold Beach, chaperoned by their parents. Dog joke. The event, which has been happening annually since 2017, was expected to only attract 500 dogs this year. However, double actually turned up, and Laura Baggett, the event organiser, said to the BBC, "It's always weather dependent and luckily we had sunshine." The event, in part, is aimed at raising funds and awareness for intervertebral disc disease, which is prevalent in sausage dogs due to their longness. Not a technical term. I'm pretty annoyed at myself, to be honest. This is the first time I've heard of such a thing and I didn't actually attend. All them dogs, and I'm sure 90% of them need a right good cuddle. We could have had an actual dog pile, not the ones that used to happen in primary school and gave you a face full of gravel. Imagine trying to get a bank loan for that. According to the Metro, a mother who transforms frozen rats into sexy showgirls with coloured feathers, handmade nipple covers and fake eyelashes has said her novelty taxidermy business regularly requires 12-hour days to keep up with demand. Caitlin Hills sells her rodents dressed and posed as glam performers for the small price of £148. And it all started during a craft night 4 years ago. Not Toby Jugs, no. Straight to dead rats. Caitlin said, "We watched videos online and made our first taxidermy together. Me, my daughter and my sister. And it was comically bad, but we loved it. We had such a fun time, so we did it again and we made others. And the natural next step was, let's make it sexy and fun and add costumes." After posing pictures of the sexy dead rats online, people seemed to love them. Not only that, they wanted them for themselves, bringing about her business, Showtime Taxidermy. Look at these! The process to turn a rat from dead to drop dead gorgeous apparently takes about a month. But as she completes her work in batches, it often means that she has up to 100 completed rats around her home at any one time. And having previously worked as a wedding photographer, Caitlin said about her current profession, "It's the coolest job in the world. I get to be creative, I get to be artistic, I get to have my own schedule, I get to interact with awesome people," and she said, "I couldn't improve on this. I love it." To be fair, I'm pretty impressed on how they turn out, but Christ, they're weird. How would you explain that to people coming round? Oh, don't mind the rats, guys, it's nearly their curtain call. I have a hard time explaining my Star Trek ornaments, never mind a collection of erotic rats. Plus anyway, I'd be far too erect to open the door. Beercan, 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 Beercan. According to the BBC, a Dutch museum had to pick artwork out of the bin after a member of staff thought the display, which consisted of 2 empty beer cans, was leftover rubbish. The artwork, All the Good Times We Spent Together, by French artist Alexandre Levat, consists of 2 dented beer cans placed in the museum lift as if left behind by construction workers. If you take a right close look at the faux litter, they're apparently meticulously painted with acrylics. But, and rightfully so, after seeing what looks like lift rubbish and then themselves being lift engineers, they tidied their work area up before they left. A curator, however, noticed that the lift rubbish was missing, and staff, tasked with searching for it, found the 2 cans intact in a bin bag, then cleaned them up and popped them back on display for the enjoyment of museum patrons. The museum, however, bears no ill feelings toward the technician, as they were covering for someone who is well acquainted with the building and its exhibits. It sounds like the lift technician is the art critic the museum needs. If people pick up your art and immediately think, "Where's the nearest bin?" then it's not art. I'd be the same if I ever saw a record from Pink again. Shouldn't it have gone fail-safe to the Inflight map? According to The Independent, passengers on a recent flight from Sydney to Tokyo were left stunned when an R-rated film was played on every screen. The flight was hit by technical issues, and staff could basically only select one film for the whole flight. And after asking passengers what they fancied, last year's racy drama, Daddy-O, was the preferred choice. The R-rated film, I'm assuming 18 rating for us Brits, featured explicit sexual material and scenes of graphic nudity, including exposed genitals. This was broadcast on every seat of the plane, with one passenger posting on Reddit saying, "It was impossible to pause, dim or turn off. The movie they played was extremely inappropriate. It featured graphic nudity and a lot of sexting, the kind where you could literally read the texts on screen without needing headphones. Makes me wet thinking of you. Dripping wet, Daddy." This apparently played for almost an hour before Qantas staff noticed and changed the film to a more kid-friendly choice. Speaking to Daily Mail Australia, a spokesperson for the airline said, "We're now reviewing how the movie was selected. The movie was clearly not suitable to play for the whole flight, and we sincerely apologise to customers for this experience." In one. A bit of nudity and swear words won't kill anyone, and kids are more oblivious to this sort of thing than you'd think. I once found a VHS tape labelled "Hot Nurses Get Their Medicine," and I turned it off after a minute as I thought there'd been a volcano trying to revive people, not prancing around in daft hats with red crosses on, violating the Geneva Convention. How to make friends with drug dogs in one easy step. According to the Northwich Guardian, 2 drug dealers have been jailed for attempting to smuggle drugs hidden in Kinder Egg capsules up their bottoms into the music festival Creamfields. Marshall Maddock and Harry Hewitson both appeared in Chester Crown Court on October the 4th for sentencing, having been found guilty of the possession with intent to supply the Class B drug ketamine, with Maddock also facing an additional count of possession of cocaine. They both attended Creamfields on August the 25th, but as they were about to enter the North Gate, a drugs dog indicated they might have drugs on them. They were then searched by officers, and although they handed over a small quantity of drugs, they refused to be searched any further. Apparently because Maddock refused, they then got the rubber gloves out and started the airport-style finger rogering. They then discovered a Kinder Surprise capsule containing 10 bags of ketamine hidden in his anus. His mate Hewitson also refused and said that he didn't have any drugs. But the gloves came out for a second time and found another Kinder Surprise capsule with 10 bags of ketamine stuffed up his bumhole. After sentencing, copper PC Lisa Green said Maddock and Hewitson were well aware of the law and they had multiple opportunities to rethink what they were doing. She said amnesty bins were in place at the entrance points of the site for prohibited items. But despite this, they continued in their efforts to smuggle in harmful and illegal drugs. Listen, I'm no drug dealer, but is shoving stuff up here really the best way to smuggle drugs into a festival in 2024? What about drones, guys? If them Ukrainian lads can drop a grenade 100 foot onto a Russian soldier eating a sandwich, then I'm fairly sure you could do the same with half a kilo of Special K. How do you think your son would feel? According to the BBC, a couple in India have said that they are delighted after a court ordered a hospital to hand over the frozen semen sample of their dead son so that they can have a grandchild through surrogacy. The High Court ruling came after a 4-year legal battle which started in December 2020. This was after a fertility lab refused to release their son's sperm. It all started when the son unfortunately got diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and was advised by the hospital to store a sample of semen as the treatment could affect the quality of the sperm. Preet Inder, who was unmarried, agreed and the sample was frozen. However, he died before he had any chance to use it. His parents say that they want to carry on his legacy of what? Dying young, and that the court order and released semen will help them preserve a connection with him and help their family name to continue. Arbir Kaur, the mother of the now dead son, said that the family was considering surrogacy and that a relative had agreed to be the surrogate. What? And I quote, "We will keep it in the family." So the kid's mum will quite possibly be its own gran or maybe its sister or first cousin. Gross. Gross on the first part, the whole parents with the son semen thing. I thought of that grim. And now the interbreeding of an Alabama classroom puts the incestuous cherry on the cake. You'd be lucky if the kid comes out with the correct number of limbs. Here are my honourable mentions. These are stories that just didn't quite make the cut. According to the BBC, a kid in Ontario has been the first person to die of domestically caught rabies in Canada since 1967. This was after a bat was found in the child's bedroom, but the parents didn't get the rabies vaccine after this event, as they didn't find any bite marks or scratches on the child. Unfortunately, soon after the incident, the child was taken to hospital and later died. I really do feel for the parents. That is depressing. Also, the article was basically 5 paragraphs and then a load of padding. Now that really is depressing. And my final honourable mention is that according to the BBC, a road closure in Scotland has caused a 96-mile and 2.5-hour diversion. The A75 needs to be closed completely apparently, and this means journeys between Newton Stewart and Castle Douglas will take up to 4 times the original 40-minute travel time. Not only that, the locals feel the signage is piss poor, which knowing UK roadworks doesn't surprise me. It is, however, only for a short period of time and between the hours of 8 PM and 6 AM. Roads need repairing, guys. And do you want to work outside in the freezing cold, messing about with a load of tarmac and rocks? It's a wonder we have anyone who does this work at all. All my mates from high school are either tech bros or receiving benefits. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you do so fancy. Also, if you think there's any news that we might have missed, please get in contact on the email in the description. Please also check out our news sources down there in the description, because without them, this wouldn't exist, and although some people would say that's a good thing, maybe you don't. See you next time for another jam-packed news you might have missed.